What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 245 of the A2D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, please like, subscribe, follow, and share the link with your friends. If you'd like to get our curriculum, you can get the paperback or ebook of From Ashes to Destiny on Amazon. Today's episode, number 245 of the A2D from Addict to Disciple podcast, is entitled Hot or Not. And this episode is a walkabout through a park I'm calling Hot or Not Park. And it's a park with journals as we've had before. So we'll go through and read what other guys have said in reaction to the questions at the different signs in the park. Let's start out with what it says at the entrance to the park. It says, this park is called Hot or Not Park, and it's about hot or not in recovery. Our inspiration for this park came from an old Jerry Reed song lyric, which was, when you're hot, and when you're not, you're not. So our focus on this park is to get you to think about, are you on a hot streak in your recovery? Or are you experiencing a prolonged period of continuous good fortune and success? We understand that everybody has a bad day where it's not easy to stay on fire, but we want to encourage you not to worry because you'll be on a hot streak again soon enough. Okay, great introduction to this park. Let's walk down the path and get to the first sign and see what it says. First sign just says, this is the first of three signs having to do with staying on a hot streak. And our quote for this sign is by the Dalai Lama. And he said, a lack of transparency builds distrust and a deep sense of insecurity. And a second anonymous quote's on it, and it says, be as open as air, unrestricted, and rid of all insecurities. Transparency wins hearts. Wow, two good quotes. Let's see what the guy said in the journal. Yeah, this one is a good one for me, both of them really, because I find myself that I need to learn to discuss things better rather than just talk. Because I find if I'm just talking, I'm not being transparent at all. I'm just sort of going along in the banter, almost like I'm being, interviewed on a late night TV show and we're just talking about nothing. So I've focused this year on trying to learn to discuss things. Okay. Second guy wrote, I agree with that. And for me, the discussion that I need to have is sharing my emotions and my feelings, not just my events, because I find I can be open as air about any event that happened or any place I went or, what activity I was involved in, so to speak. But my insecurities pop up when people say, well, how'd that make you feel? And I go, good. I need to learn how to really share my emotions and feelings better in a discussion so that the transparency builds trust and a sense of security in relationships for me going forward. Okay, let's walk down to the second sign in this part of the park on staying on a hot streak. And this is a sign that just says, start every day in a positive way. Let's see what the guys wrote inside. That sounds a bit cliche for me, but I really have to admit, I've tried to start every day being thankful and focusing on something I'm thankful and grateful for, and I find it actually works for me. Second guy wrote, yeah, I tried that thankful stuff too, but for me, I really feel positive with music I like. And so I try to start every day with music that I like to hear and that gets me upbeat and positive. And if I'm feeling, a little more thoughtful, I'll put on an inspirational or motivational podcast, or maybe read something in a devotional. Third guy says, well, for me, starting every day in a positive way is really about personal fitness. So I try to do healthy stuff every day, sort of like going on a walk or making sure I have a good breakfast, not more than 1 cup of coffee. Just focus on how I can start every day focused on personal health and fitness. Okay, so we got 3 very different approaches there of staying positive every day to sort of stay on our hot streak in recovery. Third sign on the hot streak says, it's a quote by an Indian comedian, Veer Das, and it says, surround yourself with a bunch of like-minded people and you'll soak up their habits like a starved sponge. That one makes me laugh. Let's see what the guys had to say about that. First guy says, yeah, this one reminds me of people, places, and things. I need to realize that in recovery and early in recovery, I guess I'm always like a starved sponge without even knowing it, from being just so dry for so many years in my addiction. So this reminds me to really surround myself with like-minded people, to go to places that focus on recovery and do the things I need to do in recovery, and maybe even slow down and see what I am soaking up like that sponge. Okay, good start. Let's see what the other guy said. Yeah, I have to hang with like-minded people more. The problem is finding like-minded people. We can say, we're all focused on recovery, but we all define recovery differently with little tweaks and twists for ourselves. So my struggle is really to find what I'd call like-minded people. Okay, the next guy wrote, for me, surrounding myself with like-minded people is by going to meetings, and I go to AA meetings that work for me. And I find that if the meeting's working for me, it's working because the other people who are sharing sound like me, and what they're saying hits home with me. So that's my easy way to find like-minded people to surround myself with, and that is, it's all about the good group and are the people sharing stuff that sounds like me. Cool. Let's head on down the path, and we come to the next sign, and it says, you finished the first phase of our park, and this phase is to minimize the not days, and we have 3 signs for you to think about on the not part of the hot or not park. First sign says, don't hit the snooze button. Create a vision that makes you want to jump out of bed every morning. Wow, I like that one. Let's see what the guys wrote in the journal. The first guy says, I've always been a snooze button guy my whole life. I'm really slow to wake up, and I'd rather just stay in bed. And this one stirs in me a bit, because I'm wondering if the fact that I just want to stay in bed means I don't have anything to jump out of bed for. I don't have a vision, and I'm not sort of working on anything. Second guy says, I think that's my problem. I don't really have a defined vision. I just stay clean and sober. So he's agreeing with the first guy when saying, maybe just staying clean and sober isn't enough. Next guy says, I agree with what the both of the first 2 guys said. I get complacent with one day at a time because there's no improvement needed. Just maintain what you're doing. So maybe I'm lacking a vision too. Okay, let's head down to the next sign, and it says, a quote by Richie Ashburn, a baseball Hall of Famer. To cure a batting slump, I took my bat to bed with me. I wanted to know my bat a little better. And what did the guy say? First guy said, yeah, my dad was a Phillies fan too, so I know Richie Ashburn well. And I think what this says to me is I need to know myself better. The way he said I would need to know my bat better, I need to know myself better and trust myself and trust my walk in recovery. So maybe I need to start focusing on that more. And the other guy wrote in the journal, this tells me the importance of not just waking up positive, but ending every day in my journal, my devotional, sharing my feelings and being honest with myself. Okay, coming up on the last sign of the park, and it's a quote by Jordan Peterson, Canadian psychologist and author, and it says, don't compare yourself with other people. Compare yourself with who you were yesterday. Let's see what the guy said in the journals. First guy says, my self-improvement is fueled by being better than I was yesterday every day. And that's quite frankly what my granddad shared with me as I was growing up, to fuel myself by being better than I was yesterday every day. Second guy wrote, that reminds me of a quote by Tyrese Maxey on the Philadelphia 76ers NBA basketball team. And he said, get 1% better every day. And I've put that to use in my life, because when I focus on that, it takes a lot of pressure off of me to try to get big accomplishments every day. I can really just say, if I take one step better, 1%, I'm doing well in my recovery. And the last guy wrote, this comparing yourself with who I was yesterday helps me, because I'm always doubting if I did enough based on how much other people are doing. So I waste too much time, I think, comparing myself to other people. Okay, that gets us to the end of the park. I want to thank you guys for coming with us on this walkabout through Hot or Not Park. And hopefully you've got lots of things to talk about with how to stay on a hot streak and how to avoid that not side of things. So thanks for listening to the episode. You can reach out at davidfroma2d@gmail.com by email, or you can go to my website, www.froma2d.org, and click on the contact page. Keep listening to future podcasts, and as always, stay safe and stay resilient.